HOA VP snuck into my ranch and threatened my dogs. She got handcuffed in my driveway. The sun beat down on my Wyoming ranch, the kind of relentless heat that makes the air shimmer and tempers flare. My dogs, Rusty and Sage, lounged in the shade of the porch, their ears twitching at the distant hum of cicadas. I was mending a fence post when I heard Ida's sharp, unfamiliar voice slicing through the calm. "Get those mutts locked up, or I'll make sure they're gone for good." My blood ran cold. I dropped my hammer and grabbed the rifle leaning against the barn. Nobody threatens my dogs. I rounded the corner to see her, Karen, the HOA vice president from the new development down the road. She stood in my driveway, arms crossed, her pristine white blouse glaringly out of place against the dust and grit. She'd been hounding me for months, ever since the HOA tried to extend its reach to my private land. Fences too rustic, they said. Dogs too loud. I'd ignored their letters, but now here she was, trespassing, her finger jabbing the air as Rusty growled low. "You don't belong here," I said, voice steady but laced with warning. Sage bared her teeth, sensing my tension. Karen didn't flinch. "This land's an eyesore," she spat. "Your dogs are a menace, and I've got the authority to fix it." She pulled out her phone, waving it like a weapon, claiming she'd called animal control. My grip tightened on the rifle. I wasn't aiming it, not yet, but its weight was a reminder of the line she'd crossed. The air crackled with hostility. She stepped closer, her heels grinding into the dirt, and I saw something glint in her hand, a small canister. "Pepper spray. One move, and your dogs are done," she hissed. My heart pounded. Rusty lunged forward, barking wildly, and I shouted for him to stay. Karen raised the canister, and I raised the rifle, not to shoot but to warn. "Back off, Karen. You're on my land now." That's when the twist came. From the edge of the driveway, a figure emerged, Old Man Jenkins, my reclusive neighbor who hadn't spoken to me in years. His weathered face was set hard, and in his hands was a phone, recording everything. "I saw her sneak in," he called out, voice gravelly but firm. "Heard her threaten your dogs from my porch. I called the sheriff." Karen's face drained of color. Jenkins, the hermit who avoided everyone, had just tipped the scales. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Karen's bravado crumbled, her eyes darting between me, the dogs, and Jenkins. "This isn't over," she stammered, but her voice shook. I lowered the rifle, not out of mercy but because the law was coming. The sheriff's cruiser pulled up, kicking up dust, and Deputy Harris stepped out. He knew me, knew my dogs, knew I'd never pull a trigger unless pushed to the edge. "She trespassed and threatened my animals," I said, pointing to Karen. Jenkins handed over his phone, the video damning. Karen tried to spin a story, claimed she was protecting the community, that my dogs were a danger. But Harris wasn't buying it. He saw the pepper spray, heard Jenkins' account, and noticed the HOA's overreach documented in my mailbox full of their letters. "Hands behind your back," he told her. The cuffs clicked, and Karen's face twisted with rage and humiliation as she was led to the cruiser. Rusty and Sage sat by my side, tails thumping, as if they knew justice was served. But the victory felt hollow. As the cruiser drove off, I looked at the Ranch Me sanctuary, now tainted by this clash. Jenkins shuffled over, his eyes softer than I'd ever seen. "Lost my own dog to an HOA like hers years ago," he said quietly. "Couldn't let it happen again." His words hit hard. I'd misjudged him, assumed he was just a cranky loner. Now I saw a man carrying his own scars, stepping up when it mattered. The days that followed were quiet, but the tension lingered. The HOA backed off, but whispers in town painted me as the bad guy. Some said I'd overreacted, that Karen was just doing her job. Others saw her as a bully who got what she deserved. The truth, I realized, wasn't black and white. Karen's obsession with control had driven her to cross lines, but my own anger had nearly pushed me too far. I kept replaying that moment, my finger near the trigger, and wondered how close I'd come to losing myself. The ranch is peaceful now, but the memory of that day clings like dust. Rusty and Sage still guard the porch, and Jenkins waves when he passes by. Yet the bitterness remains a reminder that community can build you up or tear you down. Karen's in court next month, facing trespassing charges, but I don't feel like celebrating. I just want my dogs safe, my land free, and the world to make a little more sense. What would you have done in my place? Was Karen the villain? Or was I too quick to draw a line in the dirt? Share your thoughts. Where does justice lie when pride and principle collide?